Hallo, ek is Etie. Welkom by my kanaal waar ons als saam doen. Kan op 6 verskillende maniere uitgespreek word in Afrikaans. In hierdie video werp ek lig op die 6 verskillende uitsprake van Case number 1, the regular This is the that we learn when we learn the alphabet in Afrikaans. This is the phonetic pronunciation of and it goes and that is how we learn it. But when you learn Afrikaans words, you'll soon realize that very often the that you see in the word is not pronounced as such. And this is what we're looking at today. Voorbeelde, examples of the pronunciation of regular En, the word for and. Prent, picture. Tent, tent. Hemp, shirt. Kip, cap. Les, lesson. Ses, six. Six, six. The pronunciation in Afrikaans for six is six, just spelled differently, so it sounds the same. Case 2. As the American a. What I mean by that is we sometimes, depending on where you are in the country, depending on the dialect, pronounced as the American a, as in the word ass. It depends, again, on where you are in the country. For instance, if you are in the Western Cape, often the is pronounced more like or completely like in many cases. But if you go more north towards Gauteng, the Free State, you'll often find people pronounce the word or the letter as the sound a. And it's not in all cases, but often in the beginning of words and even in words. So it's more a towards the north of the country and more towards the south or Cape Town. Voorbeelde, examples. The first word there is ek, which is I. Now you hear me say ek. There are many people who say ek, especially the people who live in the Western Cape and in Cape Town. Often if people get a lot of interaction with English people, or they are bilingual themselves, or even first language English speakers, they will say ek more like the phonetic pronunciation of But then you get people like myself who often say ak and not ek. So both are acceptable, both are correct. But if you listen to Afrikaans things or watch Afrikaans things and you start to wonder what is going on, why is this one saying ek and that one saying ak, what is it? Both are acceptable. And then we have paard, which is a horse, staart, which is tail, and reg. Now, a lot of people again say reg. I say reg. That means correct, right, or reg as in justice. Case number 3, the Afrikaans pronounced as the Afrikaans This often happens depending on where it is in the word. When you end a word with it's often or always really pronounced as and not as Voorbeelde, examples. Gewig, which is the word for weight. Now you'll see there gewig and not gewig. So gewig. Now, when ge appears anywhere in Afrikaans word, it's always ge. If those two is a syllable, it's ge and never ge. And then we have geduld, which is patience, and then beslis, which is definitely. And again, this is beslis and not beslis. And then lastly, besluit, and that is decision or to decide. Case 4. As the Afrikaans ear. So in this case, you pronounce the e that you see in the word as the Afrikaans langklank ear. Voorbeelde, examples. Before I start on these examples, there are words in Afrikaans that have the langklank in the middle. Like, for instance, the word for leg is been. But when made into a plural, one of those two vowels fall away and it becomes bene. However, the pronunciation does not change. So it's bien in the singular and bene in the plural. However, there is one less vowel visually, but the pronunciation remains the same. So this is something that's very interesting, and I will definitely touch on this more when I start with the plural videos, because it's a whole world. It's a whole world, the plurals. You don't have to remember the rule now. It's just interesting to note that in the singular, it's written with a langklank, and then the plural, the sound remains. These words that we're going to look at now, the examples, they have always been written with only one vowel, and you always pronounce them as a langklank. So there is no singular and plural form. These ones just look the way they look, and they sound the way they sound, and it makes no sense. So you have to learn the pronunciation of these words. There's no specific rule. You just have to learn that this is how you pronounce them. So let's look at the first one. The first one is lelik, lelik, ugly. Stewig, stewig, sturdy. Vrygewig, vrygewig, generous. A note on vrygewig. We've learned just a little bit ago, there's a word that says gewig, which is the word for weight. In that case, that first part is pronounced ge. But in this case, the word looks the same, the second part, but it's pronounced gewig. Again, there's no rule. You just have to learn the pronunciation. So this one is vrygewig. And then the last word, ledig, ledig, which means idle, to be idle. Case number 5, the Afrikaans e, pronounced as the Afrikaans copy e, which is e. So, let's look at those examples. Those examples turned out to be only one. They aren't plentiful. I think there are more. I could only think of one on the spot, which is the word ver, ver, which is pronounced like it should have a copy e, but it is always written without the copy e. Ver is also used as part of words, and then it has a completely different meaning. It actually means nothing. It's a voorvoegsel, which we'll get to as well. But by itself, it means far. Far as in the distance. Far away or far from something. So this one you should learn. This one sounds like it should have a copy. It doesn't have a copy. Ver. Case number 6. The Afrikaans e, pronounced as the Afrikaans I. Yes, so if you watch the vowel videos, you would have seen this is one of our vowels. And e next to each other forms I. And there are cases that we pronounce an e in a word, usually in the beginning. We pronounce that as an I. Okay, so the example is just one. Again. Ifik. Now you hear that's I. It sounds like it should be written with e, with that vowel, but it's not. So, ifik, written with an e, and that means effect, like an effect that's applied to a video or something like that. But then if you look at the bottom right, this is right. I get so confused with the signs. If you look bottom right, you'll see that there's a word that looks very much like effect. And the first part is exactly spelt the same. And that is effectief. So we have effect, which is an effect. But then we have effectief, which is effective. So the two are definitely related, very much so. However, the pronunciation is different because you have effect pronounced with the Afrikaans I, but then you have effectief, which is actually pronounced phonetically like it should be pronounced. So there you go. These two you should really learn. Combo cases. That's most of our words, really. If you get into Afrikaans deep enough, not even so deep, you'll see that most of our words contain many S, and often they are not pronounced the same. It's a singular, it's a singular E, and then separated by consonants, and then you get another E, and you should think, oh, well, there we go. It's E, and then it's E, and then often you find only one is pronounced phonetically as it should be, and the other one not, and often both of those are pronounced not like E and something else. And this you will learn. You'll pick it up quickly. You'll pick it up quickly, but it does become confusing because if you don't hear Afrikaans on a daily basis and you live in a completely foreign country, it really is a struggle because you want to learn. You've been told the sound is E, but now the sound is not E, and it doesn't make sense. And there is no hard and fast rule to learn. Although some of them follow a pattern, there's no, okay, well, we've got rule 1 to 1000 and this is how it goes. So let's look at the combo cases. Lekker. Lekker. Lekker is just lekker. It means a lot of things. Nice, good, great. You know, we use lekker for pretty much anything. I think it's one of the most used descriptive words in Afrikaans. So lekker is the word for nice, but then also is applied in many ways. And lekker, the first one, I pronounce the first one as that American A, so lekker. And the second E, I pronounce as a. So there you go, one of those words that it's very often not pronounced phonetically like E. There are people that will say lekker. Lekker with the actual E in the beginning and then an A pronunciation with the second one. So, woo! And then we have depressie. Depressie, again, the first one is pronounced like a, and that's depression. Then we have beter, beter, which is better. And there the first one is pronounced like a tweeklank, like the double E, beer. And then the second one is pronounced like a, beter. Why we have is, I don't know. But there you go. Then effens, which is slightly, effect, which we've spoken about, which is effect, and then lepel, which is spoon, and lastly, bewe, which is to tremble. Thank you so much for watching. Many of Afrikaans vowels have this differentiation in pronunciation situation going on. E is not the only one, but I think E is the most diverse one in pronunciation. If there are some of the others that you struggle with, if some of the others confuse you when it comes to the pronunciation and what it looks like in the word and what you've learned phonetically, if you want me to clarify more, please let me know in the comment section which letters or vowels or letter combinations even you struggle with to understand when and how to pronounce them. And I will do my best to create a video on it that will make the pronunciation more clear. You guys must have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.